people. You know, they have, they'll be departing on December 24th, back to India. And they also have a little mini pot to install before they go. The main temple, I would say we are 95% complete. We have that hand railing section open just to take in the outer, the base for the crystal. It won't fit through the front door. I mean, with the crate and everything, because we need to roll it in. Brass, you can't really work really hard on it. It's very soft. You can damage the edges and different things. So we have to bring it in with the crate, but it won't fit through here. And once we take it into the sanctum, and then we set everything, flooring stone for the sanctum and everything. So we have the flooring stone for the sanctum, and a little threshold for the front, and we finish up the steps. And we have 6 yalis or little creature with a big trunk. You'll see at the entrance of the sanctum. We have 6 of those in the front entrance here. These wooden steps are not permanent. The rule is this structure and that structure, everything must be hand colored. Everything on the flooring here and outside can be machine cut. Of course, for machine cut, we will finish it with hand, so that 1,000 years from now, they won't even know this. Some trick of the trade. Okay. Everybody's still wondering, right? What's the surprise? We know all this stuff. All right, let's look at this one. This is the beginning of the surprise. So, everybody's seen how the silpis do the carving. Without the chisel, nothing will happen. In fact, when every year they do a worship called the Ayuda Puja, the worship of your tools. And that's the day they actually make all the chisels and the tools like a deity. You worship them. And the blacksmith pottery or the blacksmith shop is a very, very important part of the entire carving process. Without the blacksmith shop, nothing will happen. So they have such a special place, even though everybody just sees the stone hob, pretty nice carving, nobody knows how all this happens. So the special treat for today that only even a handful of monks even seen, the whole process. They may have seen some portion of it, the whole process of making various chisels. Somebody may have seen this chisel being made. Very rarely you see this chisels being made. This is their sandpaper. Very, very, very rarely you will see this chisel being made. And they're going to quickly remind us what they do with these chisels, so that you know how they are used. When you, the special part is you're going to see how they are being made over there. That's the rare part of it. Seri, ella silpis moda odaya pakamikkana. So this is the one you use to take a big chunk out in a straight line. So when they mark a line, they can make a straight line across that line by carving it with this tool.
And this is for sizing the stone. They need to have it the size they want.
Exactly. So, okay, everybody on that side, come this side. They're going to fly on that your direction through the river. So this is the chisel you get when you first graduate on the carving. He's being very gentle. This is when they whack it, when the stone will fly, 50 yards or so.
And what's he doing here? Is he smoothing out the stone?
So right now, on the stone joinery, your main concern is the top edge, side, on the bottom, and everything. So on the stone, the bottom is curved, like a cup, like a saucer. That's why it forms the stability. You cannot have a stone carved flat. you have to make a slight curve inside.
For the mortar, or
For the mortar, also for the load to be distributed only on the edge. You don't want the load to right in the dead center. On a stone, when you set a stone on a boulder or something, you always put the support on the two edges. Never in the center. You put it in the center, they just break. So you want the load to be distributed all around on all four sides. In order to do that, you make the interior part of it curve. Okay, you can take a look at it, what he did. He's stuck going down. So curve figuring, so that they can just run a straight line. In the table,
so you can tell just by glancing at a temple when you're traveling through India whether it's been machine cut or...
These days I tend to do that more. Never used to. And this takes most of the time when you do stone carving, this process. And sometimes when you're joining a stone, you do the whole thing, you assemble it, maybe 1/8 of an inch longer, you have to redo that. That's when they get really hurt. The feelings. Yeah. Well, we just did it, we have to do it again.
How deep is that curve?
Depending on the stone. If your stone is, maybe first an inch or inch and a half will be straight, and after that it will start to go in, and then it will come out again. But the upper part always straight, so that when you look at the top of the joint, it's perfect.
Right, and then how far in does it go from that straight?
About an inch and a half. Once you reach about inch and a half depth, then it will start to curve in. Very skilled silpi, he always has his pinky resting on the stone. A lazy silpi will just hold it like that. That means he won't get it perfect. In order to get it really straight, you have to have your pinky resting on the stone. They don't do it because it gets very hard on your pinky. But in order to get a straight shot, you have to have your finger resting on the stone. So this is when you want to sand a curve that has a curve. This is the chisel sandpaper. Take a look at, pay attention how it's curved. And this is a rough one. You're trying to reach an angle. And this is a fine one, also an angle, the place you can't reach very easily.
Do they wear masks or anything?
They have masks. Red oxide? No, it's just the dust from ash. All right. Say it. I don't mean it. They're going to start the fire.
Oh, yeah.
We weren't kidding when we said something special. Yeah. So, no tours go through this process.
No.
Very few people ever seen this whole process.
Ah.
Swami, the goddess over there.
That's Saraswati, that's the presiding deity for the silpis.
Thank you.
So it'll be a little smoke. It is organic though. If that helps.
So was arsenic.
Thank you, Danny. We're all fall over in the ditch over there.
Me too.
So we used to have 6 silpis here, and one silpi actually, his duty is in the afternoon to spin the blower.
Really?
Then we cut down to 5. Yeah. You can't really afford to have one just spin that thing.
No.
So we put a battery in.
Yeah.
Works great.
So Swami, the charcoal, where does that come from?
This very hot. If you leave the chisel too long, it will actually melt the chisel. So you have to be very careful. So a couple of heads up on the chisel making process. This regular chisel is very. You can see he's stacking the chisels. Yeah,
So this goes on every day, Swami, that they're working in the temple?
we do it every other day. Most of the time, when they do a rough cut, that's when we go through about 150 to 200 chisels a day. Then they have to do it every day. On an average carving, every other day is sufficient.
So can one person do that at a time?
Normally, 2 men. One will be sitting over here doing the.
Where's the peacock?
Did you notice a little gesture he did? It's the first one, so he's kind of worshipping it first, in respect before he starts the work. So this is one of the toughest work in the stone carving.
Yeah,
So we have 2 silpis take turn.
right.
Why it does it? Because you're constantly pounding this way,
Right.
it causes the chest pain, the muscle here.
Yeah,
So we rotate them so that one person not suffering through it.
right.
So now he dips a little bit. So he just knows the timing. If you're
Yeah,
new, you look
right.
for the அந்த மைனரகு பாப்பாங்கல்ல நீலமா வருமே அது நீங்க பார்க்க மாட்டீங்களா
நான் இது அரப்பா தான் ஆப்பு
சரி இதுல வருமே எப்போதான் லேட் ஆகுமா It's all just by practice. This much time is enough for tempering. So now they let the very tip of it sitting. The depth of the water here is very precise. They made a little dent in the stone, the dip, so that determines the height of the water, which is about 3/16 of an inch. And the chisel tip just sits on it for about until it cools down. So that particular area is tempered differently than the rest of the chisel. So that if they whack way too hard, the tip will give up before the stone get damaged. You can see a very faint blue color on it.
Yeah. Like this.
How long would that stay hot? Like, how long would he have to do that carving on there? The pounding on that?
Once it turns, you have to do it before it turns black. Otherwise, you can't shape it anymore. So you can see how it's doing it. It's actually pushing it down, and every time he whacks, the tip bends. He rotates it, whacks again, and finally, when he gets the thing elongates it, and then he raises it up on the block, and then make it straight. No, afternoons, every other day. So this is different style. People rarely see this. In fact, it's the first time I'm seeing it.
And you're the foreman.
Appreciate how hard they work, you know?
Yes. That's why they're going to get a surprise treat today. No, it's pretty warm today.
Folk stone for hot chisels.
அதுக்கும் போட்டு வைங்க.
Is this how low-carb fat occurred originally?
I just have to make sure he can get it.
The reason you don't see it too often is these kind of tools are rarely used. So occasional use, so you don't see it very often here. Is it? So, இது கொஞ்சம் விட்டுனா அது காமிப்பேன் அங்கே பார்த்துட்டு வைக்கலாமா வச்சிருந்தோமா கொஞ்சம் விட்டு
The magnifying glasses on?
I guess you could.
No, but how does he get like the pattern so easily?
It has a good vision. That's why normally a young silpi would do this part. But the problem when you use glasses in stone carving, you'll get nicks very quickly. You know, you have to change your glasses about every 6 months. That's why when the vision gets bad, they quit. Because glasses won't last very long.
But he's just got protective lenses on, protecting his eyes.
So if you notice, first he's cutting it, and then he used another.
Sure, you get no appreciation.
Yeah, we certainly do.
Yeah.
And what the silpis, stabilis call is ayadi compatibility. You actually, just like a couple going to get married, you check compatibility. When you build the temple, you do a compatibility. It's called ayadi calculation. The stability did teach me a little bit of his family secret. Not much, just a little. I have to really work hard at it. In this case, the deity, Shiva, has a nakshatra, Ardra, of course. And then the founder, or the major donor of the temple generally, or the president, in this case founder, Iraivan, and his nakshatra, which is Shravana. And the nakshatra for the syllable ka, which is Kauai, and I don't know what that is. They put all this together, they find one nakshatra that's compatible with these 3 nakshatras. So that's the first qualification. Then, each nakshatra, not all of them out of 27, I think about 20 of them has numerical values. And that value in a traditional, I guess, Indian measurement system. And they have to convert that to modern inches. So you take that measurement, and then you see if that fits your criteria. For example, Kauai, as a rule, you can't build anything higher than 40 feet tall. That's the county ordinance. So stability came with about 60 feet, and we said, no, you can't do this. So he goes back to find another nakshatra, would give him a measurement that would qualify for this measurement. So once you have the measurement, they crunch, there's a 16 compatibility they have to check. I forgot the names, the 16 of them, they have to compare, make sure this measurement fits this, fits this, fits that, fits that. And the measurement for Iraivan Temple is 11 feet, 7¼ inches. So everything you see here is modulated by that measurement. They call it ganda. That's what stability said, when the temple is carved and build according to that, even before the consecration, it will bring the divinity into it. Because the temple itself is a form of a gross linga. The Shiva temple is a 5 lingam. The sanctum, the tower, the balipidam, the flagpole, and the presiding priest. The Sivacharya himself is the 5th Shiva lingam. So we call it Panchalinga Valipana, worship of 5 lingas at any given point in Shiva temple. So that's why the sanctum itself becomes so sacred when it's built correctly. So that's for the temple. And Iraivan, every single portion you see, based on that modular measurement. However, the Shastras did not define where you draw the lines, center to center, inner to inner, or outer to outer. For example, you can take it from the center to center here, 11 feet 7 1/4. Or inside to inside. Or outside to outside. But there is a rule where you apply what, which I don't know. For example, Ganapati Savali decided from here to here, he took the outside for this center opening. From the outside to Prakarams here, he took the 11 feet 7 1/4 as the inner measurement in order to get the center that's square. This is 10 feet 1 1/4 inch square in the center. Everything else is 11 feet 7 1/4. So he has his formula that only they know why he did that. And everything else is a division of it, half of it, a quarter of it, even the height. For example, the sanctum, you see, is obviously wider than 11 feet 7 1/4 because there's a rule, what is that they call the mother wall, the actual wall, and then there's a whole bunch of a projection. The projection do not fall into that criteria. For example, the actual pillar is only here. This is the pillar. And this is all pillar. But a divine person, a holy man, whether his dimmer is brighter than ours, he sits here. Because they are one at any given point. We are one, but not all the time. Because we forget most of the time. To no other temple, you would prostrate in the Mahamandapa. But in Kauai temple, it's okay because Gurudeva said it is okay. Because it's a Guru. So certain rules that I said will change